Bueno, un momento que verifique que nos encontramos en vivo. Bueno, un momento. Y efectivamente nos encontramos en vivo. Y el día de hoy vamos a jugar What Remains of Ed. A ver, perdón. El día de hoy vamos a jugar What Remains of Edith Finch. Un nombre complicado de pronunciar para mí, por lo que pueden ver. Pero bueno, es un juego que tiene un platinito fácil, así que vamos a darle. Básicamente por eso lo juego, por el tema del platino.
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you,
Muchas
and
de
I'm
estas
sorry.
cosas,
I'm just
ok.
going to start at the beginning with
Llegué
the
hasta los 11
house.
años, pero no me dejan entrar a la mitad de cuartos. Ok, empezaré por el principio. No me dejan leer, ok.
Someone had put up a chain link fence, but it looked like I wasn't the first person to hop it.
Alguien había puesto una cerca de alambre, pero creo que chingo mi madre. Chingo mi madre, básicamente.
My
No voy a
brother
leer
Nelson
nada.
disappeared when I was 4. It was like the house just swallowed him up.
Su hermano desapareció cuando tenía... ¿cuánto dice? 4 años. Ok, desapareció su hermano. ¿Es un juego de terror acaso? O sea, no tengo ni idea de qué va el juego, ¿eh? Completamente no tengo ni perra idea. ¿Esa
I
casa se
lived here until I
parece
was
a la de los
11,
Weasley?
but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
Dice que vivía hasta los 11 años, pero no me dejaban entrar en la mitad de los cuartos. Bueno, visualmente es bastante bonito.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
Ok, facturas de hace 7 años que decían urgente.
I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
No había regresado desde el funeral de su hermano.
In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked.
Su madre en el testamento le dejó una llave.
Maybe she
Vale.
thought I'd know. Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
Ok.
No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
Nadie había venido por aquí en muchos años. Ah, un venado.
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it.
Ok,
But
parece
now I
ser
had questions
que...
about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
Vale, parece ser que desapareció su hermano, murió recientemente. Su madre le dejó una llave y ella aparentemente se había ido de la casa y ahora vuelve para, pues, no sé, buscar respuestas. Otro cartel de su hermano desaparecido. Puede ir por aquí, pero yo creo que vamos directamente a la casa. Voy a ver qué hay ahí, o sea, me da curiosidad. Ok.
Woods around the house have always been uncomfortably silent.
Me dieron un trofeo por tomar otro camino.
As if they're about to say something but never do.
Ok. Básicamente puedo ir por donde sea realmente. Yo creo que sigo el camino simplemente. Mm, ok. Aquí no hay nada, qué raro. Hay un montón de carteles del hermano perdido. Es un poco raro porque de repente como que se corta el camino. O sea, el camino como que lleva para acá. Pero de repente se corta. Es un poco raro, ¿eh? Otro cartel del hermano.
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
Es una casa muy rara, ¿eh? Hay un montón de carteles del hermano. Y hay un barco hundido. Bueno, ya vamos a la casa que estoy
As
dando
a child, the house made me
muchas vueltas.
uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
Le tenía miedo a la casa. Pues obviamente, pinche casa está toda mal hecha. Parece que le hizo Don Vergas. Ah, sí, ¿qué es eso? Ah, se puede entrar por aquí. Va.
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11. The power had been turned off the night we left.
No había electricidad. Son pobres. Claramente es una familia latinoamericana. O sea, es una casa por fuera de los límites, en plan Don Vergas.
For the first time in years, I felt like I was home.
Pues sí, es tu casa, ¿no? Soy yo, no se podía
But
entrar
instead of a
por...
family, there were just memories of one.
Ah, mira, aquí está toda la familia. Supongo que será la niña, la prota que vemos
Like
ahí.
how after Lewis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
Ok. Madre mía, un montón de sardina.
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it. Like a smile with too many teeth.
¿Y que no se podía entrar por aquí o qué?
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive.
Sí, pues buscaron mucho al hermano.
Edie told me once that every Finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library.
Ok, es una biblioteca... Súper raro,
A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night.
Parece que salieron de aquí corriendo por algún motivo. Me gustaría salir para ver si se puede entrar por la puerta o algún...
The table was still a wreck from the night we left. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
Ok, de repente se fueron corriendo por algún motivo de aquí. La silla de la abuela.
My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home. Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank.
Ok. Las letras se fueron para arriba por algún motivo. Aquí hay fotitos. Supongo que la niña será ella. Tengo que hacer algo aquí.
Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
Siempre quise tener una de estas madres, no sé por qué me llamaban la atención. Siempre me llegó a llamar la atención este tipo de cositas. Yo creo que primero abrimos la puerta con llave.
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
Oh, o sea que la llave no era. Hija de perra. O sea, como que tenía muchas cosas cerradas ahí. No, vamos arriba.
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
Eddie hizo agujeros en la pared para espiar. Pero ¿por qué la madre selló todas las habitaciones? Pinche vieja loca.
Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
Bárbara. Habitación de Bárbara, ¿no? Supongo.
Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it.
Ok. Tiene ahí como... Sí, era como... Bárbara, sí, tiene como... Como el plan, el letrero de Hollywood, pero... Dice Bárbara en lugar de Hollywood. Pero voy a poder entrar aquí, simplemente voy a andar ahí como acosadora. Ah, entonces la niña esa que pensaba que era... No era. Lol.
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
Aquí jugaba ella.
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
Una llave para un libro.
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets. Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of.
A ver, voy a explorar lo demás antes de ir a esa parte. Molly.
Molly always seemed like a girl I could imagine being friends with, if she hadn't died in 1947.
O sea que era como una casa de ancestros que las iban sellando conforme morían. Sí, aquí está la fecha. Cañi... Sí, es un árbol genealógico por aquí. Walter, San, Calvin, Bárbara, Molly. Sí, ok. Oh, me cagan los putos alacranes. Hace poquito en la casa... Bueno, hace poquito, hace como un año empezaron a salir un montón de alacranes.
As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of.
Como un baño. ¿Por qué? Porque mierda sellan el puto baño. Calvin.
My
Habitación
grandpa
de
Sam
Calvin.
spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother, Calvin.
Ah, y está lo típico de que dividen la habitación con una raya. Ajá, sí, mira, está la habitación dividida. Cada uno tiene sus cosillas. Ah, acá hay otra habitación, ¿eh?
The last time I was in Edith Sr.'s room, I was 10 and she was painting my portrait.
Ok. Es como una familia súper grande, que cada uno tenía su habitación ahí, toda cursed. A ver, ahorita quiero ver si, por ejemplo, abajo había una habitación que no vi. Quiero checar todas. O sea, simplemente por tema de trofeos y todo eso. Chequé esa. El armario, ¿se puede checar o algo así? No. Me parece que en la parte de abajo no había habitaciones, ¿eh? Aquí estaba la madre esa. Leían mucho, ¿eh? Parece ser que está ambientado en una época donde... Porque aquí se oye un puto ruido súper raro cuando me acerco ahí. Yo no voy a preguntar. Quiero ver qué hay en el cuarto de arriba antes de ir a la habitación secreta.
Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
Ah, ok. La mamá era una malita. Eso ya quedó claro. Ya había revisado esa habitación.
Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan. From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me.
El hermano que desapareció había estado aquí.
But I had no idea what was behind that door.
Su habitación, ¿no?
Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead. I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole.
No se puede ver aquí la de Molly.
Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage. Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
Ok. Molly tenía vista al mar y todo. Alguien era el consentido de aquí, ¿eh?
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
Ok.
My Halloween candy was all gone.
No tenía dulces de Halloween. Ahora soy una niña. Parece que voy a tener cambio de personajes. Ah, y aquí está el animal vivo.
The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
Se acaba de comer una puta zanahoria de un hámster.
Mom, can I come out now?
Acá encerró.
It's late. Go to sleep.
Encerraba a la niña, what the fuck.
I thought about eating Christopher, but I held back.
Se queda a comer al pez.
I ate a lot of things that night.
¿Esas no son venenosas?
I kept eating and eating.
Estoy matando a la niña, ¿no? Estoy matando a la niña, ¿no? Se oyen pájaros. Por la
Then I
ventana,
heard
¿no?
chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her.
Güey, la madre estaba enferma, güey, hasta...
And suddenly, I was a cat.
Cabrón. Ah, cabrón. Yo creo que la niña ya había consumido demasiadas cosas raras, ¿eh?
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared. Mom and Dad didn't even look at me. I jumped and I almost got her. I could tell she was getting really tired. Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
Okay.
Rabbits. I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger.
Ok, tengo que buscar conejos.
A mama rabbit. She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark.
Ah, cabrón. ¿Qué coño es esto?
I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever. I wanted fat, juicy seeds.
La cámara se fue con la mierda.
I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good. Grabbed on tight. But I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed. Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere.
Ok, esto se está poniendo muy raro.
I was big, but I moved real quiet. I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
Un momento. No sé dónde coño está. Ah, ya lo vi, ya lo vi. Me lo pasé. No sé por qué, pero me lo pasé. ¿De dónde coño está el puto pájaro? No, pues no sé qué tengo que hacer, bro. En Chile no sé qué tengo que hacer. Cómo odio cuando pasa esto, ¿eh? Yo creo que es por aquí el camino, ¿eh? Si no... Sí, de aquí vengo. Hermano, no sé qué tengo que hacer. No sé qué coño tengo que hacer. En serio, no sé qué coño tengo que hacer.
After the
Ay,
last passenger, I was still hungry.
puta madre, hasta yo me asusté, güey, no sabía que tenía que hacer eso.
Something I had to have, so I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe. I got closer and closer. all of my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again.
Ok.
I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to be, and we both know I will be delicious.
What the fuck? ¿Se quieren comer a la niña? What the fuck?
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
¿Soy un gato?
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly. I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room.
La habitación de la abuela.
Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious.
Ok.
I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time. When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't. Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
Canijo.
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife, Kay, left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace.
Ok, otra llave rara, what the fuck.
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look.
En la alacena, ¿no?
It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book. Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
Quiero ver primero qué hay en la habitación antes de saltarme cualquier cosa.
Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune. Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family, and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island.
Ok.
Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
Vale.
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
No se puede ir por aquí. Entonces, yo creo que voy por la puerta secreta del baño. Es un poco raro este juego, pero bueno, me está pareciendo entretenido de momento. Es bastante raro, de hecho, no un poco raro. Ok. Ah, es la habitación esta de los hermanos que estaba dividida. ¿No se puede ir para allá o algo así?
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin, and that he never talked about him. I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it.
¿Se le murió el hermano o algo así? No entiendo.
My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom. And he did.
Bueno, me columpió. De momento, todo correcto. Bueno, me imagino que me puedo bajar, ¿no? Ahí de repente aparecen letras. Mira, ahí está
At
el
Barbara's
hermano.
funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't.
No entiendo qué tengo que hacer aquí, ¿eh? O sea, no me deja hacer nada más. No me deja bajarme. Bastante raro, ¿eh? Tengo que estarme columpiando y van apareciendo letras. Madre mía. Un poquito aburrida la mecánica, ¿no creen? No sé, yo esperaba una sección de shooter donde salieran zombies y tenía que dispararles, pero bueno. Hermano, esto está súper raro. En serio, no me deja hacer nada, ¿eh? Y las mariposas, y las mariposas. En serio, ya me estoy fastidiando, ¿eh? Que llevo aquí 5 minutos haciendo esto y no pasa nada. ¿Qué tengo que hacer?
I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Ah, qué pendejo.
Calvin! Dinner's ready!
Coming! But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible.
Ah, el niño se va a matar, ¿no?
Maybe if I hadn't said that.
O sea, yo soy el jugador, podría detenerlo.
I'm
La
not
verga.
gonna tell you again.
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother.
O sea, técnicamente yo podría detener esto, pero no me apetece. No jodas.
The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Y así se murió el hermano.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
Ok. Esa parte me gustó, ¿eh?
After the
Era culpa mía que
Edie
no...
roped off Calvin's half of the room.
Ah, ok, que esta mitad del cuarto era de su hermano. Y así quedó para siempre. Ah, sí, de Calvin, vale.
Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
¿Dónde están las palabras que tengo que... Chingo mi madre, supongo, ¿no? Madre mía. A ver, quiero ver si no faltó nada progre por aquí. Este es el cuarto de Sam, el hermano grande. Ah, pero no hay nada. Ah, mira, ahí están los hermanos. Técnicamente pude detener eso porque yo lo estaba controlando. Pero
The passages were a pretty
eso le pasa
tight
por
fit.
puto.
They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
Ahí abrió un atajo tipo Dark Souls. Ah, y este es el cuarto de Bárbara, la
Growing up,
niña
I always
superstar.
thought of Barbara as a child star.
Una estrella infantil. Ok. Tocaba la guitarra y todo. Por ahí una bromita que no quiero hacer, pero algunos la entenderán.
I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
Ok.
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's...
Un momento. Ok.
most unfortunate family. I'm calling it the surprise ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now
Ok.
at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting
Okay.
better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
Ok.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue.
Ok, ya tengo la clave de la cajita.
And as
No dejar de
she
girarla.
found the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
Ok, ahora entiendo. Ah, yo manejo el cómic. What the fuck? ¿Y por qué sale la música
She
de...
found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
A ver, todo esto fuera de la mesa. ¿Puedo encajar una bola? Sí, ya sé que mataron al tipo ese, pero yo estoy ocupado. Seguramente no necesita de mi ayuda. ¿Puedo meter una bola? ¿Sí, no? A huevo. Ahí va otra. Y esa... también. Oh, yeah. Ah, ¿en qué estaba? Ah, sí, el tipo que se murió.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
De mi camino.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Órale, salgas a la verga.
Oh dear!
Ah.
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
Otra vez. Ah, no puedo tirar eso. Bueno. Me van a poner copyright en el video, pero... está bien. A mí no me lo vamos a hacer de pedo, No me lo vamos a hacer de pedo. ¿Dónde está ese maldito perro?
Walter, are you there? Walter vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the hook man, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. And he couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Tengo que escapar, ¿no?
There's gotta be another way out of here.
Sí, por aquí, ya la conozco.
That night, she played her part beautifully.
Por aquí hay otra salida, ¿no? Por la
She
ventana.
thought about abandoning Walter, but just couldn't do it. Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges grow.
¡Órale, puerco! ¡No!
He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
Seguramente va a ser un familiar o algo y ella lo mató por accidente. O sea, seguramente era una broma. O el novio o algo así.
Had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was...
Ok. Ding dong.
At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
dear.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear.
Ok.
That's what I call a real eerie tale.
Bastante turbia la historia, ¿eh? O sea, básicamente relatan que esta chica murió asesinada y hicieron como un
Edie
cuento.
told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
Ok. F por Bárbara. Murió como vivió, siendo nadie. Miau. Bueno, tengo que salir por aquí nuevamente.
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
Ah, sí, en la caja musical. Ya vimos la habitación de Bárbara.
Edie's father, Odin, built the original house.
Ok, sí. Vimos la de Bárbara.
It's funny. All those times I played with the music box and never found the basement key.
A esto sí entramos. Ah, sí, al baño sí entramos. Y a esta también, ¿no? Sí, a esta también entramos. Entonces aquí estaba la caja y la clave era dar vueltas infinitamente. Ok. Gente, un momentito, voy al baño. Voy al baño, así que aquí les dejo la musiquita. Me tardo a lo mucho 5 minutos, un momentito. Ya volví, gente. Ahí está. Perfecto. Vamos a ver qué hay abajo. Ah, aquí era donde pasó lo de lo del billar y todo eso.
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
Ok. Un montón de cosas oxidadas. La famosa sierra.
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages.
Seguramente era droga.
I thought maybe she was hiding presents. It turned out she was hiding a lot more than that.
What the fuck?
I remember asking Mom once about where Walter had gone. She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could. If there's a pattern in all these stories, I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years. On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive the week. But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane.
Odio ese tipo de letra porque no lo entiendo mucho. Ah, duracinitos.
But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything. Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly.
Te lo prometo, no entiendo la puta letra,
And then one day, everything just...
De repente un día todo que un día fue diferente. Se detuvo.
Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done
moverme, madre mía.
I have to leave. Well, I still can.
¿Puedo volver para atrás? No. Yo creo que vamos directamente aquí. Gente, me está pareciendo un juego muy interesante realmente, No me esperaba un juego tan original, O sea, yo me esperaba una historia y ya, pero es realmente un juego muy original. Básicamente se le murió toda la puta familia. Y Calvin.
Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day. even if it kills me. Whatever's out there, I want you to know I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left. Or a month. Or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
Neta, lo atropelló un tren. Neta, te atropelló un tren. Hermanito.
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here. I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me.
Simplemente era una imagen.
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter.
O sea, el tipo vivía en
But
un
if she
búnker
never
apartado
told
de
me about an
todos.
uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding. I don't want to make the same mistakes she made.
Si aquí era su cagadero, ok.
Trying to bury something that's still alive. Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe two, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
Walter, ok. Pero el tipo se suicidó. O sea, dejó que el tren lo atropellara, básicamente, eso pasó.
I don't know if I should even be writing this.
O sea, se murió casi todos sus hijos y así. Entiendo
Maybe
que
it'd be better if
haya
all this
hecho eso.
just died with me.
What the fuck?
But I thought you should know about your family. And the history you're a part of. Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now. I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth.
Bastante raro todo esto, ¿eh? Lo siento. Continuamos. Un poco raro que me deje ir a ciertos lugares donde no hay nada.
And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible.
Por aquí ya hemos andado, de hecho por la parte de arriba. Este es el árbol donde estábamos en algún momento.
I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house?
Hay un cementerio aquí, no lo veo. Ah, ok, aquí está el cementerio.
It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. Three of the gerbils were mine, and 2 had been my fault.
Ok.
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
La de Bárbara. La de Walter Finch. Edith Finch. Steve. Verga, todos se murieron aquí, güey. Calvin. Molly Finch. La de la niña gatito.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
Ok.
Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
La casa que se hundió, ¿no? Que comentaban. ¿Te toca volver o
Edie's
algo
side
así?
was always easier for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better. She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us. We never found Milton's body, so my mom insisted we were putting up a monument, not a tombstone.
Ok.
There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself. But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
La tipa esta está embarazada. What the fuck?
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common.
Bueno, supongo.
They were both pretty intense. Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
Ok. Típico soldado que ama la guerra.
Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
Está sellada esta también. Okay.
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Hmm? Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn. Shooting is strongly encouraged.
What?
Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it? I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. That camera's older than you are.
You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. Still freezing, though. Aw.
Debería de haber algo que tomarle foto por aquí. ¿Al lago en general? No entiendo que tengo que tomarle foto, ¿eh?
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee. Nothing quite like being outside. A little more gas in the tank, I guess.
Hold still while I...
Hey!
That's a keeper.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Don. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Don, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years.
No, esto no me deja tomarle foto.
Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip. Your grandpa Sven taught us how to fish, how to build a fire. Don, don't you think you could find something more interesting to photograph? We found
Algo
an
más
old
interesante
logging
para
trail.
fotografiar.
There were deer everywhere.
¿Eso?
I bet if I could remember where that trail was, we'd spot a buck for you in no time.
Un ciervo.
Give me a minute to check the map.
Tengo que buscar un ciervo.
Let's see. Maybe. Or was it? Could have been.
No entiendo a qué le tengo que tomar una foto a las cañas. Hay un pájaro. Ah, ahí está.
Good eyes, Don. You Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Dad, I...
Just breathe. Turn off your imagination. Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you need to be strong. Great shot, Dawn!
Ok.
I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay? Sorry, Dawn, just gotta reset the timer.
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about...
Dad!
What the fuck? ¿Por qué todo el puto mundo se muere aquí, güey?
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me. After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Bastante raro este juego, ¿eh?
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it. I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
Hold on, sweetie.
Oh, se va a morir el niño. No me digas que se va a morir el niño.
Hello? Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
I wonder what he saw.
Ah, yo soy la rana.
What his world was like. You reminded me so much of Calvin. Lost in his imagination. Whatever it was he saw. It sure made him happy.
What the fuck. Yo soy la puta rana, what the fuck. Me están persiguiendo esos güeyes. Es un bebé que está ahí alucinando. Es una reverenda mamada. Algo tengo que hacer, ¿no?
how sick that sounds.
Ah, el jabón, va.
That I worried about a
No me digas que
baby
se va a morir el
being
bebé, güey. ¿Qué es esta mamada?
But I could feel her slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
I know you did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Damn it. Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear this.
I wish she could have told us. About the world.
No digas mamadas, hermano.
There's so much I don't understand.
No digas mamadas.
About Gregory. About everything.
Sí, el niño se imagina que está ahí con los juguetes y todo, pero... O sea, esto lo pintan muy bonito, pero está bien pinche turbio, güey. No mames. Ah, ok, puedo liberar el tapón.
I'm sure he's happy. He'd want you to be happy too.
No digas mamadas, hermano.
Love, Sam.
Se divorciaron, güey. Güey, qué pinche turbio, cabrón. Vivió un año y era del 76 al 77, güey. Qué pinche turbio, cabrón. No mames, güey. O sea, me dejó como impactado, esta pinche parte, güey. No mames.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard.
Ok, ahora manejo.
My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom, were the words that I
now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
A ver, un momento. Es que me llegó un mensaje. Ok. ¿Por qué debería haber otra historia? Ah, mira.
When the time for
Ah,
photos
este es el
came,
que
Dad ordered
está
him to come
tirado.
here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger.
Fue un gesto muy amable. Estaba jugando, madre mía.
Wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent.
No me digas que le va a caer un rayo a la cometa. ¿Por qué todo puto mundo se muere en este pinche juego, hermano? No, es que estaba lloviendo y pues el niño se murió. Todo puto mundo se muere aquí. Ah, mira por aquí.
The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made.
A nadie le preocupaba que la naturaleza acabara con la carpa improvisada.
The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power.
La tormenta se acercaba y rugía con gran fuerza. Pero mi padre solo dijo que traigan más cerveza. Basado, el padre, basado. Ojalá pudiera. No, o sea, ha muerto de la familia. What the fuck? ¿Fue el niño el que los mató con sus poderes?
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea and foam. But I didn't. Until we found you.
Ah, le pegó la carpa, lo atravesó o algo así. Gus se murió.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
O sea, le pegó la carpa y se murió. Va. Todo el mundo se muere aquí. O sea, lo de la bañera me pareció súper turbio, güey. O sea, me sigue caniqueando esa mamada de la bañera, güey, del bebé. Luego te lo pintan como... Mira qué bonito el bebé imaginándose cosas.
At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
Oye, está embarazada esta señora, ¿no? ¿Qué hace ahí escalando? A ver, otro cuento. Ahora, ¿quién murió?
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay. Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
Mm-hmm.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Lewis was born a year later.
Ah, este era como el hijo más grande.
When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back.
De Milton Lewis.
And to see kids in the house again.
Ok, tenían aquí como un jardín de
The house had to
botánica y
get a little
todo
bigger,
eso.
but Edie was used to that.
Sí, la casa es un poco una mierda, ¿eh? Normal es que se muera todo el puto mundo.
And for a while, things were good. Almost normal. But it didn't last.
Pero no duró.
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
Milton.
After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
Ok. Bueno, supongo que vamos a entrar por aquí, ¿no?
think Edie was happy to finally have another painter in the family.
La casa para nada peligrosa, ¿eh? Lo normal. Era como arquitecto, dibujante, bueno.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
Ok. Una pintura de él pintando. Ok, what the fuck. Abre una puerta. Y se fue. Ah, simplemente se fue. O sí se murió, 2003, se murió en el 2003. Milton desapareció. O sea, simplemente se fue. A ver, ya casi tenemos a todos. Nos falta, como si fuera colección de muertos. Ya los tenemos a todos. Llámate a la abuela, al primo y al tío. Falta Eddie. Falta Lewis y Dawn. ¿Quién es el que tiene Dawn? Seguramente seré yo. Oye, te estás metiendo con una enfermedad, Rich.
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors.
O sea, este tipo simplemente se fue, hizo una puerta y... ¡a chingar a su madre todos!
Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
Aquí había estado, ¿no? Ciertamente. Bueno, vamos arriba.
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Lewis blamed himself.
Ok.
After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
Lewis es el que nos falta.
Everyone always told me to stay out of Lewis's room. Except Lewis.
Era un cuarto muy raro, ¿eh? Bueno, o sea, estaría chido así de niño tener una casa así, pero pues ya siendo un viejo puto como yo, ya veo esto muy peligroso. No, es que se pueden caer los niños.
Lewis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
O sea, olía a culo, básicamente, el cuarto de este, güey. Ay, pinche Lewis. Hay que bañarse de vez en cuando.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment
Ayuda
for
para resolver el
substance
problema
abuse.
de adicción. Ah, era un
Newly
drogadicto.
sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life.
¿Qué hago con el pescado? Ah, se va a
He kept
morir este
working at the
tipo, ¿no?
cannery. But he withdrew part of himself.
Se va a morir.
In our sessions, I saw the same behavior.
Ahora vamos cortando aquí pescaditos.
His mind began to wander.
Ah, con una mano manejo... Ok, con una mago soy un mago en mi mente. Y con otra estoy trabajando. Es lo que yo hago básicamente en la vida real, ¿eh? No le veo...
I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved.
El juego me quiere confundir, pero yo soy experto en hacer esto.
And toads.
Y sapos. Ah, yo soy experto en divagar, güey.
He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very
Oye, ¿me están aventando muy todo el jale mío o qué?
I had hoped he'd find himself.
¿Los demás qué hacen? O sea, yo hago todo el jale, como siempre. Échame todos los pescados, hombre. Pues está medio raro de manejar esto, pero más o menos se puede.
But he found something new.
Ahora se hizo un entorno 3D. Wow, está muy padre esto, güey. Oye, ¿qué pasará si dejo que se acumulen las cosas?
I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused.
La neta no estoy leyendo nada, porque estoy con el pescado y jugando acá.
So I let him go on. I even encouraged him.
Me siento identificado con...
It seemed very promising at first.
Con el prota de esta historia.
He told me he'd made a new friend.
Ah, es un perro ayudante.
On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia.
Ah, mira, hay algunas cosas en el juego que ocupo cortar el pescado para seguir avanzando.
Then he made musicians.
O sea, dentro del juego a veces aparecen pescados y los necesito cortar en la vida real para seguir avanzando.
And songs for them to play.
Me siento identificado con el prota, A mí me verán cargando cajas con cara de perro amargado, pero en el fondo estoy imaginándome el mundo de Yuppie. El pescado ahí.
But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination, so he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor, and he won.
La banderita del Mario.
They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering.
Déjenme pasar.
It became a game for him.
Y ahora manejo un barco.
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on.
Ah, me imagino que cuando la pantalla se haga completamente un juego, se va a cortar la mano o algo así. O se va a morir, o sea, algo le va a pasar evidentemente a este tipo.
He started drifting away from our reality.
Empezó a alejarse de nuestra realidad. Sí, claramente está pasando eso.
Minneapolis.
No, Astro es un juego pues que encontré por ahí y empecé a jugarlo. Está muy interesante,
Part of Lewis kept sailing on.
¿Qué quieres tú? Sí, quiero que digas. Ahí me están gritando en la vida real.
When
O sea,
Lewis
no, que no me griten, yo
he
estoy
heard
haciendo mi
rumours of
jale.
a handsome queen.
Estoy navegando por aquí. Y los pescados están saliendo, ¿eh? El jale está saliendo. Ahí va otro pescadito.
The queen was on her own quest for
Radiantes arcoíris.
radiant rainbows. He followed the sound of her silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound.
Aquí ya tienes casi toda la pantalla en el juego. Y ya no sabe lo que está haciendo.
All in his imagination.
Ahí va uno. Échenme todos, hombre. Me están echando ya de montones. Ya cuesta concentrarse.
But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes,
Tengo que cortar el pescado para que se abra la puerta. Ahí va el pescadito. Yo no me distraigo, yo estoy aquí. Se va a cortar la mano este vato.
And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
Era difícil llevarle la contraria. Ahora estoy en el mundo real nuevamente, ¿no? Vámonos a la casa. Luego de un día arduo de trabajo. Vámonos de aquí.
Began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker. He began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
What the fuck? ¿Realmente no está haciendo nada? Bueno. Como siempre yo haciendo todo el trabajo. Madre mía.
I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions.
Es un juego muy interesante, ¿eh? Toca temas ahí muy turbios, pero realmente lo hacen muy originales, muy original este juego. El gato. Ahora, puto.
His queen waited, holding his crown. There was only one thing left to do.
Solo quedaba una cosa por hacer. Cortarte la mano.
Bend down his head.
No me digas mamadas que se va a cortar la cabeza. No digas mamadas que así se murió.
Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
No me jodas, hermano. Yo pensaba que se iba a cortar la mano, güey. Se cortó la cabeza por andar de alucín.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
No me jodas. No me jodas.
Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
Encima era como yo, no sabía jugar. No, este juego... La neta me está volando la cabeza, ¿eh? Yo pensaba que se iba a cortar la mano. Dije, no, pues se cortó la mano el vato.
My mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left.
Normal que se fueran de esta casa, todo puto mundo se moría. Madre mía. Me estaba volando la cabeza esta... Sí, básicamente dejó todo atrás.
What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
Okay. Este era el cuarto de ella.
That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not...
Le cortaron la cabeza y lo echaron con los demás pescados, básicamente. Bueno, esta fue la última noche de...
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom said the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
Oh, sí, me faltaba entrar aquí, ciertamente. Creo que era la última habitación.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house.
Un momento. Va. Unos problemitas técnicos de repente. Tengo que tomar la vela, ¿no? Ah, no.
Edith has a right to know these stories. My children are dead because of your stories.
todos los niños murieron porque pues, tuvieron mala suerte, güey.
Best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born.
Otra vez con esa puta letra que no entiendo, güey.
That night, the tide went way, way out.
Yo sigo flipando con lo del bebé.
It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life.
No entiendo algunas palabras, o sea, literalmente no entiendo algunas palabras.
But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them.
Sí, es que no entiendo la cursiva para nada,
Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again.
Oh, ya no vio a su abuela, güey. Qué ojete la mamá, ¿no?
The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone.
O sea, se le murió toda la puta familia, güey.
We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot.
A mí hay historias que me parecen bien turbias. La del bebé. La del bebé que se ahoga, güey. La mamá se enferma.
She got better for a while. And then she didn't. And then I was alone.
La abuela, no supo qué pasó con la abuela, con el hermano que se fue.
Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is. This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you.
Ah, ya entiendo, es la hija de ella o el hijo que están haciendo ahora mismo.
But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Y así murió la última, güey. Se murió toda la familia por, no sé, una maldición o no sé qué pedo, güey. Bueno, también es que la casa no era la más estable del mundo. O sea, en cualquier momento se caía esa madre encima de la otra casa y se morían todos. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. ¿Está basado en una historia real? Voy a ver por ahí un video en YouTube a ver qué me cuenta sobre el juego. Me pareció un juego muy bueno, con una historia muy interesante. Ah, no son los... Son como los desarrolladores, ¿no? Que ponen ahí sus fotos de niño. Un juego muy interesante realmente, muy original. San Juan Ale. Sí, básicamente eso. Son desarrolladores poniendo sus fotos. Wow. Impresionante, ¿eh? Muy recomendable. Un juego cortito. Y para toda la familia. Sobre todo la parte del bebé. Bueno, gente, creo que aquí lo dejamos. Aquí lo dejamos. Voy a ver luego un video de YouTube para ver de qué trata todo esto, si es basado en algo real, cosa que no creo que haya existido una casa así en la vida real. Pero sobre todo la parte del bebé, güey, me dejó como que, madre mía, güey, se me hizo una forma muy bonita de representar algo tan feo como pues un bebé que se ahogó en la bañera, güey. Madre mía, esa parte me dejó como que, madre mía, estoy jugando algo impresionante. Ahí está la puta rana, precisamente. Pero bueno, yo me despido y nos vemos en la próxima. Chao.